What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, you guys? Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Seriously, Antonia,
What's up? What's up?
you just wanted to say what's up.
I know I'm being petty.
Absolutely. How y'all doing today? Come on in the room. Let's get it. You ready, Tonya?
You should have stood
Oh,
up.
my
You know,
camera
you be,
is
you know,
not
you be
adjusted.
talking about, I want to stand up.
I like to do it when I'm on calls, but not when I'm going live.
You gotta go live too. You gotta stand up while you live.
Stand up there.
You ain't got your camera and stuff set up. It's gonna mess up
Sure.
your screaming and all your stuff. Yeah.
Let's do it, you guys. Come on in the room. I'm excited today. We're going to be talking about how to buy investment properties without using your credit. So,
My name is Antonio Demar.
no, I wasn't there yet.
You don't never get there.
Yes,
You
I do.
never get there.
His name is Antonio
You
Denmark.
never
His
get
name
there.
is
You
Antonio
never
Denmark.
say who we
My
are,
name.
what we do. You don't, man.
You
don't.
finished. You finished.
I wasn't going for real.
You are going. Come on in. How y'all doing today? Let's get started. Let's go. You ready, Sonia? My name is Ashley Denmark.
My name is Antonio Denmark.
And his name is Antonio Denmark. But I want to see it. Y'all tell me in the chat who's on with us real quick.
You say I talk too much, but then you don't even do the full thing.
What?
We are your group organizers.
I need you to have it together.
Well, I need you to do what you do.
I was doing something else.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Your mind done went spider brain on me. Who are we?
Go ahead.
Why are we doing this?
Let's go.
It's your job. That ain't my job.
Your tongue get tied.
It's your job.
No, it's not.
That's your job.
Y'all, in the chat real quick, let me know who do we have on today. Let me know who's watching us today in the chat. I want to see who's on before we start. So real quick, just type your name in the chat. Let us know who do we have on live with us today. Today is not sponsored by Smart Water. It is not sponsored by Smart Water. Absolutely. I see y'all.
You need some help, Ashley.
I do.
Somebody, it's not sponsored by Smart Water.
Not today, it's not.
Not today?
Not today, it's not. What's up, Chris? What's up, D?
We got Rita.
Hey,
we got
William.
Candace in the building. I was just gonna write you, Candace.
Hey, Candace.
I promise you I was. The sun came up. Glad to see you are on the live and getting back into the swing of things, Miss Austin.
Absolutely. Come on, Colbyton. What's up? What's up, Rita? What's up, Takina? I couldn't see it with the camera blocking it. Thank you.
I can't pronounce it, so that's why I ain't
I know, so I ain't being petty over here. What's up, you guys? Chris is ready for this first deal. Sakina just finished her first deal. What's up, Nikki? Congratulations, Sakina.
Sakina probably still celebrating.
Sakina, are you still celebrating this deal? Come on.
Jaquana.
Jaquana.
Wow.
That was laugh out loud. That was the.
Oh, my bad. I was trying to put that in the name. Don't pay me no attention to stuff. I don't really spell that well. I don't really do all that other stuff. I count real well. So don't take no offense to me.
Sakina says she's still celebrating.
I know I would be too. Let's go.
Let's go. What's up, Tony? Hey, Alexa.
Miss Myers in the building.
Hey, Miss Myers. Hey, Monique. Let's go. All right. What's up, Courtney? She get Jacqueline a lot. I can understand that. You probably Jackie. I can see that.
Jackie,
I can see that.
So much for calling.
All right. So Antonio and I we've done some creative deals over the last few weeks, and we wanted to kind of show you guys what we have been working on, what we've been structuring, as it relates to being able to invest without using any of your credit.
The one thing I want to say before you get too far is,
okay,
you do not need money or credit to invest in real estate.
Absolutely.
Understand that if that's holding you back, that's a mental thing. All right. Mm-hmm. There are ways to invest in real estate without any money, without any credit. Do you need knowledge? Yes.
Absolutely.
Do you need expertise? Yes. Do you need to be creative? Yes.
Absolutely.
But I'm telling you that I probably name countless of people. I'm trying to see somebody on here, Nikki on here, Sakina on here, that have done real estate deals. Miss Myers on here, they flip and they ain't put no money in yet. Like, understand that it can be done. You have to change your mindset and get around the right people that can help you execute it.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, complete tangent, but we'll run with it. But absolutely. So it's all in the mind. It's all in the game. The first step, someone was in my DM this morning and they said, like, a lot of times they're paranoid. And it's really not paranoia. It's really being afraid. It's really fear. And fear comes because you don't have enough information. So if you are lacking, let's say, credit or funds, then the things that you need to have is you need to have some type of talent. You need to know what a deal looks like. You need to know how to renovate the deal, how to manage contractors. Like, you need to develop a skill set that is needed in the project so that you don't necessarily have to use your funds if you don't have it.
And when I talk, I'm not talking about wholesaling. All right. I'm talking about doing actual deals and doing actual projects to where you don't need credit or money. Go.
Absolutely. So I want to jump into, you guys drop in questions in the chat at any time. I'm going to jump into the benefits when it comes to creative financing.
All right.
So some of the benefits when it comes to creative financing is you get untraditional access to funding.
What's up, Desmond?
Absolutely.
Hey, he said it right. Get in the room. Let's go.
The magic happens in the room, whether it's your virtual room or you're in person with us at one of our live meetups. Like, get in the room. So creative financing is a way that you do deals without using any of your own money, any of your own credit. And it's literally what it says. It's creatively structuring a deal, creatively structuring something so that you have ownership, but it may not have to go through traditional financing such as Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, not having to go through an actual bank. All right. So those are your untraditional access to funding. You get the flexibility when it comes to
like 1, 2, 1, 1. Like, you're not gonna do all of it, buddy.
You go to the next one. You get the flexibility to have low to no money into the deal. So you can either structure it. I remember our first creative financing deal that I remember. This may not have been the first, but it's the first one that just popped up in my head. We put $5,000 down. We bought was that a townhouse? A garden home in Pelham.
That was definitely not the first one.
That was definitely not the first one.
Rockingham was our first creative finance.
Okay, well, this one was I considered it a higher end creative financing deal. It was in a better area. Better area. It was in Pelham. Just roll with me.
Go.
So it was in Pelham. It was a garden house. We put $5,000 down.
Okay.
The owners were trying to get out of it. They had been renting it. They hadn't heard from the tenants, and they just really wanted to get out of it. They were in Huntsville, if I'm not mistaken, and they said $5,000 is all they needed, and the house could be ours. They still had a mortgage on it.
This is so not what we planned.
But I'm just saying, I'm going to it was little to no money out of pocket to get into that and take over the mortgage. All right.
Go.
No, that next one's yours.
All right. Customized terms. You can be creative, whether it's a 30-year term or a 5-year term, or it's a balloon. Like, you can create those terms between you and the buyer or you and the seller, so that it works for both parties. It doesn't have to just be a traditional way of doing things. It can be interest only. It can be 2%. Like, you create those terms on what that deal looks like.
Absolutely. And which in turns can lead to higher profits than your traditional financing, because you're not paying for interest when it comes with the bank. Like, there's a lot of things that you're changing where you don't have to get your own financing or keeping the financing in place.
The biggest thing that owner financing or creative financing does, if it solves problems. If y'all know us, if you listen to us, that's kind of the top thing on our bucket list, is how can we help somebody? So even though in these situations we may talk about money, the underlying issue is always we are helping somebody in some situation. That's where creative financing come into place, to where you can help somebody buy a house who never thought they could buy a house. Or you can stop somebody from going into foreclosure who thought it was over with. Or you can help somebody build up their credit to buy their first house. So it's always going to be helping people is going to be at the forefront. Yes, we make money in the process, but helping people is always at the forefront. If it's not going to help, we're not going to do the deal.
Yeah. So first you want to do is find out what is the need. How can you help that seller in any way possible? How can you fulfill that need to make the deal work? Do you go into this one first?
Yeah. So we're going to reverse re-engineer it a little bit. So if you don't know what seller financing is, you don't know what owner financing is, you don't know what creative financing is, we're just going to give a story first. And we're going to reverse engineer. And then we're going to kind of go in details on what all these terms are that we're talking about. But we just want to show you the power of creative financing.
Absolutely. Let's walk through this study real quick. So the seller in this situation, the property was listed on the market. They weren't getting many hits. And they were getting showings, but nobody was absolutely in love with the house. They eventually, a lease option tenant buyer came and they said, listen, I want to buy this house. So sometimes you'll get, if you're marketing it two ways, you'll get buyers who want to rent it, who want to lease option it. But this lease option client was saying, you know what, I want to buy it, but I don't really know what to do. They had got into an accident and they had a large lump sum from the accident, from the lawsuit from the accident, and they wanted to buy a house with it, but not necessarily use all of their money on the house.
All right. So in this situation, the front end of the deal was a traditional BRRRR situation. Bought the house with hard money, fixed the house up, refinanced the house. When we refinanced the house, we pulled out $13,700 in cash out refinance. So that means we got $13,000 from the closing table. Our loan on that property was $147,000. So now on the BRRRR process, we have a loan of $147,000. We have $13,000 cash back. Now we are going to disposition, which means sales the property or our way of exiting the property. We're exiting the property on creative financing. So we did a owner financing to the buyer on the property. All right. So the front end, yes, we use money to buy the property. Yes, we use money. Yes, we use credit to get into the fix and flip loan. But the creative part is for the buyer of the property.
Yeah, the buyer didn't have to get pre-approved by a lender. They didn't have to show where the money came from in their account. Like they didn't have to go through the whole buying process. They didn't have to look at their credit score, no proof of income, none of that. They literally put down 50,000 as their down payment to get into this deal without using their credit, without going to a traditional lender.
So the way that we structured the deal was that the down payment was going to be all profit. All right. So she gave us the number of 50,000 and we rolled with it. We could have pressed for more, but that's where she was comfortable. So that's what we decided on. That was good for us. So she put down $50,000. The purchase price was $205,000. So that left her. She has a loan for 150. What's that? 155. Yeah. She has a loan of 155. She has a 30-year mortgage, and it balloons in 5 years, meaning that her monthly payment is based off a 30-year amortization. Mm-hmm. But in 5 years, she has to pay off her balance by either refinancing on the property or either selling the property or just paying off that mortgage. All right. So understand that this isn't a forever deal for her or us. This is a deal to get her to a point where she can do what she needs to do to get financing in place. All right. So we're going to go into detail a little bit more on the different creative financing, but I just want you to show the power of, hey, as a seller, we got $50,000 as a down payment.
So to everyone that feels like, nobody has that type of money, that can never happen to me. Yes, it can. It's all about structuring the deal and making sure you get enough eyes on whatever deal you have, or that you're structuring the deal to make it work best for you.
And you got to have enough tools in your tool belt
to be able to pull these out.
To be able to understand where to fit it and how to make the glove work. Because if you're a one-trick pony and all you do is buy a fix, you're not going to have these type of tools in your toolbox. So you got to make sure that you have different tools in your toolbox that you can pull out when it's time to execute. And that's really what this training is about, is to give you a introduction into what some of those tools are.
Absolutely.
What's up, Rico?
What's up to Miss Gray? Hey, Cynthia. Hey, Al. I see y'all. Hey, April. All right. So the different ways to structure creatively. There are 3 main different types that I like to talk about. Yeah. Which is subject to, lease option, and seller financing. So in a subject to, the property gets deeded over with all of the existing mortgage, all of the existing financing in place. So if there are 2 mortgages on it, then all 2 mortgages get deeded over. The investor gets complete control. So whoever is, if I'm subject to a property to Antonio, he gets complete control of the selling of the property and has the obligation to continue making my payments to my lender on my behalf. All right. That's what a subject to is.
In a lease option, the seller allows the tenant buyer to rent the property for a designed amount of time frame, because I can't say that S word right.
Specific.
And at the end of that time frame, the buyer has the option to purchase. All right. So seller and buyer, tenant buyer agrees on a rental amount. They agree on a purchase price, and the buyer has the option to purchase the property or not. That's why it's called a lease option. The seller has to sell.
Go. Right. The seller has to sell, but the buyer has the option to execute. Seller financing. This happens when the seller owns the property outright and the seller acts as the bank by holding the mortgage for the buyer. So there's so many different types of seller financing, but as a whole, it's seller financing. All right.
Yes.
And please, if you have any questions while we're teaching, please drop your questions in the chat. I want to make sure that today you, for one, open up your mind to different possibilities when it comes to deals that come across your table. How can I make that work for me no matter what the situation is? How can I design it so that it's a win-win for everyone involved? All right. So creative financing with subject to. Some of the benefits is the financing stays in place, so you don't have to get bank qualified. You don't have to worry about credit, any of those things when it comes to the financing. You get to control the ownership. So if you're on the deed. So if you needed to get another lender to maybe renovate the house, you have control over it because now you have ownership because you're on the deed.
Say this real quick. Mm-hmm. And when we say benefits, these are benefits to the investor, the person that's buying the property. All right. So just don't get it confused. If you're buying the property, these are the benefits to you as the investor.
Absolutely. And then there's a quick close and sale. Like you can close quickly as soon as title is ready and not have to wait because the bank isn't ready. It's still in underwriting, get an appraiser. Absolutely. So you get to close fairly quickly as soon as title is clear. And then there's tax benefits. You want to talk about the tax benefits?
Yes, you get tax benefits. Just when you're owning the property, you're buying a property, you get tax benefits. If you're making those interest payments, you can claim those interest payments on your taxes. So understand that you are buying a house, so that comes with tax benefits.
Absolutely. And you're usually, whenever someone wants to do a subject to, they are probably over their heads when it comes to the amount that they owe and the value of the house. And a lot of times, the payments are going towards principal. So if you get it in, say it's not a brand new loan where, okay, they've only been in it for 2 years, but say they've been in it, they got a 30-year loan and they've been in it for 15 years. Majority of those payments every month is going towards the principal. So now you're forcing appreciation into the house by paying down that payment every month.
So, and if you don't know this, whenever you do a 30-year amortization payment schedule, your first 5 to 10 years is heavy interest. So your payment, a lot of that's going towards interest. So that's why when you get a loan that has been in existence for 15 years, now you start paying down that principal.
And it's paying down faster because you've already paid off a lot of that interest. All right.
All right.
Some of the downsides is if it gets foreclosed on, then it will appear on the title search. So typically when a foreclosure happens, they are foreclosing on the deed. And if you are on the deed, then you will be a part of that foreclosure. The owner can file for bankruptcy. So you want to make sure that you stay in contact. You want to make sure that payments are being made and that the owner's not filing for bankruptcy. You want to make sure that you actually do everything with your lawyer so that they're recording everything so that you're aware of everything that's happening.
There's a due on sale clause. So in total transparency, most mortgages are going to have what's called a due on sale clause, meaning that anytime you transfer ownership of the property, they can call the loan due. So that is a possibility. But what I like to say is, as long as you're making those payments, I haven't seen banks come after anybody for due on sale clause. Now, if you stop making payments and you stop doing what you got to do, you open yourself up to that.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by due on sale, if there's $100,000 left on the mortgage, they can say that the full mortgage is due in 30 days.
Absolutely. And then there's complications sometimes with the insurance policies, making sure that the person who's taking ownership has insurance on the property. So you can either put it in a trust and make the trust have insurance. There's different creative ways just to make sure that insurance is being held, that you have insurance on the property. Typically, the insurance companies don't care whose name the insurance is in, but when you're sending it over to the mortgage company, you want to make sure that it's fine.
Seller finance. So the benefit.
Which one is your favorite? Is this?
I haven't even gave. Okay. We ain't even went through all of
it. It just came across my head. Just tell me which one's your favorite.
Depending on the situation.
Okay, go ahead. Carry on.
Depending on the situation. So one thing I want to say, go back one slide up to the subject 2. The one thing I want to say about subject to is, yes, you can subject to the property and continue making those payments until that loan is paid off and you have ownership. But that's not what I would recommend. Whenever we subject to a property, we're only subject to that property for a temporary time period. It's not to pay off the loan for 10 years.
Yeah.
So in an ideal world, if I subject to a property, I want to be selling or refinancing that property into my name in at least 2 years. That's kind of where I want to be, because it limits the exposure that you have from a foreclosure or the bankruptcy from the seller. So I want to get that property into my name as soon as possible, but sometimes you can't do it right away because the mortgage is too high to the value. But after 2 years, usually if you put a tenant in it or you have the property, you're making those payments, usually that principal goes down and that value goes up, and that creates a space that you can refinance.
Absolutely.
Or you can put a lease option tenant buyer in it and they buy the property in a year or two. So we'll talk about that too.
All right. So benefits of using seller financing. Some people, depending on, call it owner financing. Owner financing is a form of seller financing. All right. There's different forms, but they're all seller financing. Terms are negotiable. You don't need the bank to qualify.
So terms are negotiable. You can do a 22-year deal. You can do a 10-year deal. You can do 9% interest, 2% interest, no interest. So everything is negotiable compared to when you go to a lender, whether that's traditional or non-traditional, those terms are usually set. They're giving you, hey, this is 13%. Hey, this is going to be a 5% interest rate.
There's no negotiation involved. It's standard.
When you're doing seller financing, you can be creative with the interest rate and the amount of years. You can do 40 years. So you can be creative in that sense with a seller financing.
Absolutely. You don't have to go to the bank to qualify. So if your credit is not so good, you got some kind of issues, and you just want to take on ownership, you can do that. If you already got, your credit has too many houses on it because of your DTI and you're out of whack, you can do seller finance. Like, there's so many ways you can do it, and you can do it whether you're trying to do it from a personal side or from an investment side. You can do seller financing. With all of these creative financing ways, you can do it for your personal or for investment.
You can control the property with ownership. It's your property. Your name is on the deed. You have complete ownership to do what you want to do with the property.
Absolutely. And then it's a quick close, quick sale, because as soon as title is ready, you're ready to go. It doesn't have to go through underwriting, just like with subject to. And then, of course, there's tax benefits for owning properties and for holding it. Yeah.
Period. There's tax benefits.
What are some tax benefits that they will get just for owning the properties?
You would get depreciation on the property. You can get your interest that you're paying on that seller finance mortgage. You also get credit if you do any repairs to the property. So those are just some quick ways that you can get tax benefits.
Absolutely. So the downsides to seller financing is typically they're higher than your traditional interest rates. All right. You're going to pay a tad bit more. You may have a higher down payment depending on how you structure the deal. And more than likely, it's probably going to balloon. It could balloon.
Most of the time you're buying at full market value. So there isn't much of a discount when it comes to seller financing. If you're a good negotiator, can you do it? But most time when you're doing a seller financing situation, it's going to be at full market value.
Y'all got any questions though thus far? If you guys have learned something thus far, give me a thumbs up in the chat.
All right. So lease options. Lease options are our baby. So even though it's our baby,
go ahead.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite.
Okay. I see you, Rita.
We love lease options. I see you, Cliff. We love lease options because it fits our ex-flipper method, And lease options for us are systematizable. Did I say that right? Systematic. We can constantly produce those. Don't be laughing at me and my words. We can constantly produce those. So that's why we love lease options, because that has created a business for us. Can subject to and seller financing do it also? Yes, but it's just a lot harder to find those type of deals. We can do lease options a lot easier. All right.
A lot faster. Yeah. I see you, D. All right. So some of the benefits when it comes to buying on a lease option is financing is already in place. So you already know what the mortgage is. You already know what the interest rates are. Like, it's already in place. And typically you're coming in to where it's not where the interest is brand new. No, it's already been paid typically. Option fees are negotiable. You can decide if you can do 10,000, 5,000, 2,000. You remember our lowest option fee entry?
That we accepted?
No, not that we accepted, that we bought on.
I think the first one, we gave $1,000.
I thought it was $1,000.
Yeah, I think we gave our first one $1,000.
$1,000 to buy a house on a lease option.
And it was a nice house too, y'all.
It was. Quick close sale, because again, once title is ready, you don't have to wait for anything else. You can close. And you get control without ownership with the lease option. So it's you're leasing until you're ready to buy. All right.
You finna take questions, or you gonna do your next slide? You finna get sidetracked. Brains.
I wanted to make sure that actually we can talk about that right there.
Okay.
Rita asks, do you get most of your creative deals off market or through the MLS? That's such a good question. I don't know where I get the most from off market, but I have structured some that were not brand new on the MLS. Like, at that point, the sellers really became motivated before I did it. It wasn't where, okay, it's been on the market for 30 days. Nah, it's been on the market for a year. It's been on the market for 6 months. And that's how that ended up coming.
So one of the challenges with doing creative financing with MLS properties is making sure the agent still gets paid. Mm-hmm. So when you're doing creative financing, you want to be out of pocket as little as you can be. So if you got to pay the seller and the agent, that really kind of put a challenge on doing MLS properties. So most of them come off market when you're dealing directly with the seller. But if you want to look at the expired listings, that's a great place there. You can attack sellers that don't have an agent anymore.
Or contact the agent and tell them that you're looking to buy it. And then maybe the agent may charge you a flat $1,000 or a flat $500 just for connecting them with the seller.
And for sale by owners is a good place to find creative financing type deals. Somebody is beating down our door right now.
We don't have to worry about it. They're there.
Okay.
All right. And creative financing, the downsides when it comes to lease option is the sale is a process. You can't add any additional lenders. If you need to repair anything, you can't add them to you can't do a note and mortgage on them. The owner can file bankruptcy. So you want to make sure that you're in touch with the owners. You want to make sure that's fine and that they don't file bankruptcy. You also want to make sure payments are being made. And then the price is set and you can't pay down the mortgage. Like, whatever that price is that they said that they're going to sell it to you for. If they say, hey, I'm selling this to you for $100,000, even if they only owe $80,000 left on it, that price is set. You're getting it for $100,000.
So I'm going to talk about the gap fund for a minute. So when we say gap funds, we are talking about money to do rehab on the property, or if it's an investment for a quick turnaround, we're talking about money to make the payments. But when you're doing a lease option as the investor on the back end, You can't borrow money and put that investor that's lending you the money on title. Mm-hmm. So you have to do other things that secures their funds compared to seller financing and subject to you have title to the property. That way you can put a mortgage on the property in your company's name to your investor. Those are two big things when you're talking about creative financing and which tool to use.
Absolutely.
You never answer Cliff question.
I was just going there. Can you get a balloon loan on a commercial property before rehab based on ARV? I should say coming from seller financing, then going to a balloon loan. Okay, so coming from seller financing and then going to a balloon loan. Go ahead, Tanya.
So if I'm wrong, Cliff, tell me if I'm wrong. So from what I'm getting is, as the owner, can you do seller financing to an investor and put a balloon on? That's kind of what I'll make sure I'm getting that right. I own the property. I'm gonna seller finance it to an investor, but I'm gonna put a balloon on that investment, on that loan, to what they got to pay back. So the answer is yes. As the seller, as the owner, you can create a 2-year balloon, a 5-year balloon, a 10-year balloon.
Yeah.
You can create that term with the buyer so that everybody can win in that situation. So just because you own or finance don't mean you got to own or finance it forever. All right. I seen. Do you stay within a
specific purchase price range when you do creative deals?
We don't, but we're gonna tell you which one we like to use for certain situations. Mm-hmm. But we've done creative financing on $300,000 houses. We've done creative financing on $20,000 houses. So it's just all a matter of the situation and which tool to pull out.
Absolutely. All right, bam. When to use which? There are 3 factors that determine which option to use between a lease option, a subject to, and seller financing. All right. The first factor is equity. If the property has,
before you go too far, answer Chris' real question.
Okay. Chris' question is, are homeowners who are in pre-foreclosures good candidates for subject to deals?
Absolutely, sir.
Absolutely. They are perfect candidates for subject to deals. Absolutely. For one, because you can find out how much is owed to reinstate them, and then you can negotiate that reinstatement into as what they will receive as a down payment and get them reinstated and take over the mortgage. So yes, they are absolutely good candidates for it. We've recovered quite a few from using pre-foreclosures. Our main strategy.
That was our main
strategy. That was it. About, I think this was like 2015, 2016, probably to about 2019. That was our main strategy. We were targeting the pre-foreclosures. We were offering to get them reinstated if they needed moving money. I would literally, one of my clients, I literally post their things on Facebook Marketplace and sold their items for them. And that ended up being their money they needed to move by selling a few of their things with their permission, of course. I literally helped them be able to move because the money we were given towards the reinstatement was all that we could physically pay for. But I gave my time and talent to actually help them be able to sell their TV, sell furniture that they didn't need because they were downsizing, to have moving money. Yep. Okay. Great question, though, Chris. That was a really good question. All right. So we got equity as the first factor. If the property has little to no equity, then we like to do a subject to.
Yep.
All right.
Money out of pocket is one of the next factors that we consider when we're deciding on which option to use.
How much cash do I need to have invested in this deal without getting a return immediately? How much cash do I need to come out of pocket with? And then what's the seller situation? Are they in pre-foreclosure? Are they looking to move? I had one lady we did a deal with. She was getting married and she was moving to another city. So she needed to move quickly because she was moving to another city and she didn't have enough equity to put it on the market and not have to bring money to closing.
Yep.
So all of those are our main factors when we are considering it. Yeah. So let's talk about equity a little deep, and then I'll jump into Cliff question.
Okay.
If the property has little to no equity, then we like to do a subject to, because we can create the equity by either, if we put a tenant in place, the tenant paying down the mortgage over time, and then it forces the appreciation to go up. All right.
So I think that's so important because, and I'm gonna do a quick scenario. If the property's worth $125,000 today, the mortgage is $125,000. What's going to happen over a 2, 3, 4, 5-year span? If you put a tenant in the property, that mortgage payment is going to go down. Every year that tenant is paying that mortgage payment. So if you look up in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it might not be $125,000 anymore. It might be $100,000. It might be $90,000.
Right.
But at the same time, the value of that property, which was $125 in 5 years, it might be
$150, $145.
So you can create a $50,000 gap over time just by understanding numbers, let alone more than likely you're going to get some cash flow during the process.
Absolutely.
So that's huge, because a lot of times we don't want to take on properties if there isn't any immediate equity, but you can create that equity.
You create that equity over time. If the property has a lot of equity and a mortgage, then we'll offer a lease option because we can pay more for the property and that benefits the seller. So we don't want to take all of their equity. We want to leave them. We want them to make money too. Remember, it always has to be a win-win situation. If you're the only one winning in the deal, then it's not a deal.
Nope.
But it needs to be a win-win situation where all parties are winning. So yeah, if they have a lot of equity, allow them to keep some of that equity while you take over the deal. Let them make some money. And if the seller doesn't have a mortgage, then that's when we offer an owner finance situation, to where we are allowing them to become the bank and we owner finance it to them.
And owner financing sometimes is for people who don't want to pay capital gains. They'll rather owner finance the property to you to not have to pay capital gains and get their money over time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So each situation is a little different, but equity is a big part of which tool we prefer to use. You want to Cliff?
All right. Cliff said, the commercial seller gave me 2 years to pay in full. If I don't get that amount within 2 years, can I get a balloon loan from a lender based off the ARV, or do I need to rehab first to get the balloon loan? So it won't be called the balloon loan. You will get you can get a loan from another lender to pay off of that, because what the seller gave you was a balloon. The seller gave you a balloon of 2 years to pay it in full. So what you're going to do is you're going to refinance, because now you're the owner. You're going to refinance into either a bridge loan, or you're going to refinance into a 30-year loan and get the ARV. But it really depends on the lender on if they'll give you the full if you haven't rehabbed it, or if they'll give you 70. Typically, they're going to give you 70 to 80%.
So if you don't rehab it, more than likely you're getting into a bridge loan where you can get the rehab money. If you do rehab it, you're going to go more than likely into a long-term loan so that you can lower your payments and keep it over time. So you can do either one. The long-term option is where you can get a balloon, whether that's a 7-year, 5-year, 10-year balloon on that option. So I hope that answers your question, Cliff.
And you can be creative with getting the rehab now before those 2 years, just to make sure that you exceed that ARV so that you're not coming in short when it comes to those 2 years. So get you a private lender to fund the rehab creatively without using your credit. Get your private lender to fund the rehab, put them on the note and put them a note or mortgage on it. And then when you refinance, pay off both of those lenders. And then the rehab will ensure that your value goes up so that you can make sure you meet that ARV.
You gotta say that again. All right. And you didn't say anything wrong.
The rehab? What part?
You didn't say nothing wrong.
What part do you want me to
But
start
you gotta start from the beginning, because you just gave him a hell of a game plan. And I know it's like second nature to you.
All right.
But you gotta break it down to where it makes sense. And you gotta paint the full scenario.
All right. So
Cliff owns
a building. He owns a commercial building. Right now, this building is sitting dormant, it's vacant, and it needs some work. All right.
So let's just use easy numbers. Let's say Cliff owns the property, seller financing. All right.
The seller
financed the property, Cliff. Let's say that he owes $50,000 on this bill. All right. Mm-hmm. You pick up from there.
Cliff owes $50,000.
Cliff owes $50,000 to the original seller.
All right. So he can say it's only going to take him about $25,000 to renovate it. All right. To get it to where it's worth, I'm going to say $150,000.
Okay. Good.
All right. So he's going to get Antonio to lend him $25,000.
My money expensive though.
He's gonna get Antonio to lend him $25,000 to renovate this property. All right.
Okay.
Antonio is he's gonna give him a note and a mortgage, and it's gonna be recorded. Yes. And Antonio is gonna be in second position on the property. All right. Antonio being on second position on the property, Cliff now has $25,000 to renovate. Cliff used that $25,000 to renovate the property. Now Cliff owes $75,000 on this building. All right. But it's worth $150,000. So in that 2-year span, Cliff is going to refinance, and he's going to pull the equity out of the building. And if he refinances and his appraisal comes back at $150,000, and they're giving him 75% cash out refinance, then his new loan would be for $112,000, $112,500. All right.
He'll pay off the first lender with $50,000. Mm-hmm. He'll pay off me $25,000.
So that's $75,000. So if I take $112,500 minus $75,000, then Cliff could make $37,500 just by getting a private lender to do $25,000 in renovations to bring it up to an ARV and after repair value of $150,000.
So it'll be $37,500 minus closing costs.
So basically, roughly $35,000.
Yep. But this is how much easier that was.
Did y'all get that? If y'all got that, I need some heart. I need to know y'all got that.
It's so funny. Jimmy said very creative. Said too fast. Like and it was so good. That's why I had to back you up a little bit on it, because those are the easy things to do.
Yeah. So if you come into a situation like that, just replay this and here you go. I see y'all. Well, good.
All
right. So factor 2 is money. If the property requires a lot of rehab or upfront money, moving money, we like to offer them a subject to. So if they need a lot, then we're going to offer them a subject to, because we need to make sure that our money is attached to the property, that our investors' money is attached to the property, so that if anything happens, we have the ownership to not lose the money that we're about to put into the property.
Yep. If the property requires little to no money out of pocket, we like to offer a lease option. We will. Okay, can you see it a bit better?
We'll ask for owner financing in either situation if the seller's open to it. So little to no money out of pocket is already one of our houses, it was listed on the market. It was perfect, honestly. But they weren't getting any hits. And I don't know how many, but she had just gotten married. She had moved into another house and she couldn't afford to keep making those payments. So we put $2,500 down, if I'm not mistaken, is how much we lease optioned it to her for. We put $2,500 into the property just to give it a wow factor. So like we added backsplash, we added chair rail molding, we painted the bathroom cabinets because they were brown. We painted them white just uplift it just a little bit, spruce it up a little bit, and we painted the shutters on the outside and pressure washed the house. We had a lease option tenant buyer to put down $5,000 as their option fee, which canceled out the $2,500 we gave the seller and the $2,500 we put into the property. So now we were into this property without using our credit, without using any of our own money out of pocket, and we made monthly cash flow. And we sold it, and we made about $46,000 on the sale of that.
All right,
what do I consider
back up. You be doing it too fast.
No,
babe, okay,
money.
And I know your brain be going, but you gotta slow it down.
I didn't even have coffee today.
You gotta slow it down.
It's only been smart.
And paint that picture a little clear. All right.
Okay, what am I missing?
The key part, this is the best part of creative financing. If you can find a situation like this, this is an ideal situation for us. We gave the seller $2,500. All right. When we gave the seller $2,500, we end up putting another $2,500 into it. So out of pocket, we've invested $5,000. All right. When we brought the lease option tenant buyer, they put down $5,000.
All right. So that canceled out.
So we got our money back
that we put down.
So understand that whatever we make out of this deal is profit.
It's profit now.
If you can ever create that type of scenario, that's gold. Because whether you make $5,000, $10,000, or $20,000, you're going to make it and you're going to already have your initial investment back.
Mm-hmm.
So that is like the ideal scenario to where that's why we like to do that, kind of how we structure it, because if we can get $5,000 back from a tenant buyer, the cash flow is profit. The money that once we sell it is profit. Everything is profit at that point. You can't beat a deal to where you're making money and you don't got any money invested in the deal.
Yeah. All right. So
you have some questions.
Rita put, I got to go back. Okay. Rita put, what do you consider little to no money in this scenario? So little to no money
for us is under $5,000.
Yeah.
So that's little to no money for us. Is we're trying to put less than $5,000 because we're trying to get it back from the tenant buyer.
Mm-hmm.
It might be different for different people
and different price points. Because if I'm looking at a $400,000 house, I'm okay with putting 10 to 15 out of pocket because I know I'm going to get that back from the tenant buyer when they do their option fee.
Yep.
So if I can cancel out and be into the deal without using any of my own money in, let's say, the first 6 months, that's little to no money out of pocket for me.
Yep. So I agree 100%. He still got 25% equity in this commercial building. And as you know, commercial value is just going to continue to go up.
Absolutely. Mr. Harris said, would he have to pay the lender more than the $25,000 they borrowed because of interest?
Absolutely.
So depending on, I can break that down real quick too.
Baby, you at 203.
Okay. So depending on how much interest that buyer, that lender required, most of the time for private money, it's going to be anywhere between probably about 2% a month is typical what you're going to get. So that's like $500 a month. So say he kept the $25,000 and he did What's 6 months? How much is 6 months? 500 times 6.
You doing too much numbers.
What's that? 500 times 6 is that what?
You're doing too much numbers.
But that's what my human calculator's for.
3,000.
So instead of 25,000, it'll be 28,000 for sure.
But that depends on if he's making payments during the loan. Mm-hmm. So if he's making interest payments during the loan, then his payoff will just be 25,000. Now, if he is rolling the interest into the loan, then that payoff will be 28,000, and it's a 6-month window.
Yep. All right. So y'all keep dropping y'all questions.
Great questions, y'all. This don't go without questions, man.
All right. So let's talk about factor 3. That's the seller comfort. All right. We always try to go with whichever option the seller feels the most comfortable about, because we don't want the seller to feel uneasy. Well, yeah, we don't want them to be uneasy about it to where they're backing out. We want to make sure that we explain it to them. We want to make sure that they're fully knowledgeable of it and that they agree to it, whichever option. If it looks like it's better as a subject to, but the seller only wants to do a lease option, if the lease option works, we'll do the lease option. All right. So whatever gets the deal done, just make sure you get the deal done.
That's all that matters, y'all. Don't get caught up in seller financing, owner financing, subject to lease options. Whatever gets the deal done,
gets it done.
Gets the deal done. That fits what you got going on. All right. So, and these are just some parameters, but each deal is different. Each seller is going to be different. So get the deal done. Don't get caught up in walking away because they say we don't want a subject to, but we'll lease option. You just lease option and you keep moving.
Absolutely. Let's do this last one and then drop your questions if you have any. All right. So this one started out with the seller as the owner finance. Because they felt more comfortable at first with an owner finance. But by the time we worked it out, it ended up being a subject to. The seller was out of state. They had a long-term tenant that was moving out. And what they didn't want to do is reinvest the money to bring it back up to par, to put it on the open market. Like they was just done with it for real. You want to talk about it?
Sure. One thing about network, this deal came to us from our mentor. So he's in Atlanta. He said, hey, I got a situation in Alabama I think you can help me with. No problem. So basically they owed on the property, they owed $91,000 on the property. The ARV on the property is like $190,000. So they could have easily fixed the property up and sold it, but they didn't want to do that. And also, they didn't necessarily want to go through that hassle either. So they was like, hey, if we can just get X amount of dollars for the property, y'all could just take it over and do what y'all want to do with it. So I think we end up giving the seller $20,000 cash. We end up giving the wholesaler, which is my mentor, $10,000. So it was $30,000 to get into the property. The person who ended up buying this property, which is an ex-flipper student, she didn't go to a bank. She didn't necessarily have to do any qualifying. She didn't have to do anything but say, hey, I agree to do this deal. All right. The kicker is she had just got business funding. Mm-hmm. So she had 150-something thousand in business funding already. So what she did was she used the business funding. That $30,000 came from business funding. The $35,000 to fix it up is coming from business funding. Now, once she sells the property, she's going to pay off the $90,000 mortgage, and she's going to pay off of her funding and make some money. So understand that she's doing this deal just because she understands creative finance, and she understands that you don't necessarily have to use your money to do the deal. She didn't go in her pocket for any of this money. All of it came from business fund. So if she made $20,000, it's a win. She never put her bank account at risk. She never put her 401k at risk. She did everything from business funding and the creative financing side. So understand that this can absolutely be done.
Absolutely. Cordell, I see your message. Antonio's going to give you a call. Good, Tanita.
Yes.
Good.
So it can be done. You got to put yourself in that. You got to align yourself with off-market properties. You got to be looking for these type of things.
Right.
Because if you're not looking for them, most of the time they're not just going to fall out the sky. All right. And if they do fall out the sky, you don't even know they deals because you don't have enough tools.
Or you don't even know how to work it to make it work for you.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I know we are over our time.
We are way over our
time. I wanted to make sure you guys got it. I wanted to make sure you understand it. I wanted to make sure this added value to you. I want to make sure that as you are looking at deals, that you're looking at, okay, what can I do to make this work? If it doesn't work from a basic standpoint of, okay, ARV minus rehab minus purchase price, if it doesn't work from that standpoint, how can I creatively make it work to help all parties involved?
Agree.
All right.
Because the deal didn't necessarily pencil out to work as a fix and flip loan. Mm-hmm. And the other thing about the situation is, even though the person who bought that last example, she's going to have to make those mortgage payments. Remember, they've had this loan for probably 15 years. So she's paying down principal.
Which means she's even adding more equity into the property. So now her spread is going to be bigger.
And her strategy is to flip it. Now, I can tell you what our strategy would have been, because this is our box that we live in. We would have turned around and probably put a tenant buyer into it. And then we would have let that tenant buyer buy the property
and make those monthly payments.
To
create that equity and then get them ready to buy it and sell it at full market value.
But everything is different. So there is no one way to skin the cat.
Right.
She's still gonna make money doing it that way. That's what she needs. That's her finances set up. A quick $20,000 pop in 60 months.
How many
in 6 months will help anybody.
Absolutely. How many of you can take in 6 months? Raise your hand if you would love to make $20,000 in 6 months. Some people, it takes them, they only make it $30,000-$40,000 a year at their 9 to 5 to be able to do this as a hobby on top of what you're already doing. That's game changing.
Totally agree.
I see y'all. Absolutely. Absolutely. I see you, Rita. Absolutely. I see you, Miss Gray. You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
It'll help us you. Hey, look, $20,000 is $20,000.
Yeah.
Especially if it's one time cash. Hey, start eating a little better then.
Goodbye.
I will, because I'm fat.
I see you, Dante. I see you, D.
All right.
Cordell said he's fired up. Let's go then.
Let's go. I'm telling y'all, man, these deals are out there. But if you are not taking action, then you're not going to get these type of deals. I'm just being honest with you. Like, just because you're capable of doing it, don't mean you're willing to do it. You got to be willing to put in some work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
All right, you ready to go?
I felt like I was supposed to pray all hearts and minds clear.
No. Hey, listen, don't forget, we do have a conference coming up at the end of July. Absolutely. July 26 and 27, man. Make sure y'all get in the room, get connected with these type of people who are teaching these strategies, these people who are showing you how to get business funding, people who are showing you how to find these off-market deals, people who are showing you how to overcome your mental fears. Listen, get in the room, man. I'm telling you now. This event sells out every year.
There's a few more early bird tickets, so go ahead and get your early bird tickets if you haven't got them already. I can tell you tickets have been flying, so if you haven't got your tickets, please get your tickets and don't say I shoulda, coulda. No, the magic is in the room.
Don't be calling me the day before. Hey man, any more slots?
Any more spots?
That's how y'all do every time. And then y'all feel like I'm being mean because we ain't got no more spots.
Because we've ran out of capacity on the bus. We're gonna have a live bus tour, and we're gonna literally walk through one of our properties. We're gonna look at it from top to bottom and talk about what needs to be renovated. What does that look like? What are the buyers are gonna be asking when it's time to sell? Like we're literally breaking down the property. So we're having a live bus tour in the middle of the conference.
And also with that property in the ideal world, it's going to be a property you can buy. It's a property that's available to buy to get your investment journey started.
Absolutely.
So come walk through the property, and the people that, if you're on the sideline, you might be off the sideline by the end of the conference.
Absolutely. So tickets are on Eventbrite, REI Decoded Summit. Type that in Eventbrite, REI Decoded Summit. I'm going to actually post the link in REI Decoded so that way you have it on this. So just give me one moment. They should be putting it on any minute now. But it's the 26th, 27th. The 26th is for VIP only. So if you're not VIP, make sure you get in VIP. We're going to be breaking down our mental. We're going to be talking about what are those things that have caused us to be afraid, have caused us to doubt ourselves, have caused us not to perform at our highest potential, and how do we reverse those things so that we're operating at our highest and best potential.
Challenge.
Okay.
If you've been talking about getting into real estate more than 2 years and you haven't took action, you need to be a VIP to find out what's stopping you. Absolutely. To dive into those fears that you have. Because y'all use the excuse of money. You use the excuse of credit. But that's not the reason, y'all.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, the reason is you have fears.
Absolutely. We just showed you how you can invest without using your credit. All right. How you can get a lender and not use your money. All right. Like literally, these opportunities are available, but our fears, sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves and we tell ourselves that we can't do it. We're not worthy to do it. We're not made for this. We can't do it. We don't know enough. But literally you do. You have everything you need, but we just have to attack those fears so that we can get over those hurdles.
And I want to give a shout out to Miss LaWanda. Miss LaWanda just signed up to be a part of the program. And that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the conversation we had after she signed up. She came to the conference. She's been listening to us.
She's even volunteered.
She's volunteered.
She came VIP the first one.
And we seen her at a church event and actually asked her, what's holding you back? And she didn't have an answer, y'all. She was the reason she didn't start.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people in those same positions where you are the reason. You got good credit where you can get business funding. You got some money saved up. You got a 401k, but you are scared to take action. And until you recognize that, until you're able to analyze yourself and see that you are the problem,
you got to believe in you first. You have to believe in you first. I think one of my professors at FAM said, like, if you can't believe in you, you can't expect others to believe in you. Ooh. So you got to believe in you first. So believing starts within, because you can do anything you put your mind to. I told my 5-year-old that this morning, because my 4-year-old was doing something that my 5-year-old should be doing. And she was just like, I can't do it. If he can do it, you can do it. You can do anything, but it starts within. You got to know that you can do it. You got to push yourself past your limits and don't feel comfortable with where you are, because you're not going to reach those goals being comfortable. So believing starts within first.
All right. Let's go get a 5 soapbox.
I am
20 minutes over.
I am.
This was a good one, though. Right. This was a good one, though, man. This was a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys have an amazing, amazing day. We will see you on Thursday. Miss Key, we're going to be Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. Miss Key is going to be diving in, and we're going to be talking about Section 8. So if you got Section 8 tenants, you're thinking about having Section 8 tenants, make sure you come loaded with your questions. Can't wait to see you guys.
Property walk through tomorrow at 12:30.
Absolutely. Love you guys.
Peace.